This is a chocolate shake. This is Jim Equals. He and his lovely bride Naomi are sharing it. And I want to share something with you. Now, before I came here after a very long day, I stopped off at CBS Radio in Greentree to do a commercial for Shale Insight. And being that we're just a stone's throw from the Shell petrochemical plant, and they have the commemorative collectible cup thanking the Shell Corporation as in Royal Dutch Shell, I wanted to give you a head start on what you're going to be hearing a lot about from KDK Radio. Shale Insight 2017, you can get a front row seat at the leading conference on American shale energy, industries and jobs, network with the nation's foremost leaders on energy-driven manufacturing, the game-changing Shell petrochemical plant, health in the industry, just the facts, and a perspective on alleviating energy poverty from Stanford University, all at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center, September 27th and 28th. Public policy and industry keynote speakers include Sean Spicer, a name you may recognize, recent White House press secretary, and leading CEOs from Peoples, Chevron, and Exxon subsidiary XTO, among others. I've said many times all of those names and more. Big fan of, because hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people working directly or indirectly because of those names. Great leaders in the energy industry. To learn more and to register, visit shaleinsight.com. Now, some insight on what's happening with Hurricane Irma. The governor in Florida, Rick Scott, is telling people to evacuate. It could hit Miami as early as Sunday. It's already wreaked havoc in places like Turks and Caicos in the Bahamas. Winds of 180 miles an hour, 10 people known dead, and it has no sign of slowing down. Million people without electricity, mainly in Turks and Caicos in the Bahamas. And speaking of that, New Providence, Bahamas, Anna Baradelli Knowles, who happens to be a Beaver native, her brother Luke Baradelli were very good friends. She is a hairdresser. She lives with her husband, who is a fisherman, and he has a tourist boating company down in that part of the world. They are battening down their hatches because they're going to be affected very soon. We will talk to her tomorrow on the Disk Institute of Pittsburgh Newsline and go live, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bahamas. Rob Pratte for Mike Pintek on News Radio 1020 KDK. And on behalf of all of us from Beaver County, to our friends from Pennsylvania who are living there, vacationing there, and to all of the residents in the places that I have just mentioned, our thoughts and prayers are with you. And to those who continue to clean up after Hurricane Harvey in Texas, we feel the same about all of you as well. So very tough times. Timesonline.com. They're going to be following it, CBS Radio, and of course, News Radio 1020 KDKA. All right, coming up, I'm all about the blue and gold, but it's kind of hard to think that the blue and white won't win this thing. Shaquan Barkley, 246 all-purpose yards against Akron in that 52-0 victory. Pitt gets by YSU in overtime. It was Weir with the reception from Max Brown, the transfer from USC. Before we get into the game, how about Nate Peterman, the guy who we replaced? He's getting a start with Houston. That's good news, isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing. He had, he really came onto the scene his last 2 years at Pitt, after transferring from Tennessee, and I think a lot of people thought he was going to be drafted earlier. So I think Buffalo got a steal with him, and maybe through injury, but I think he can take hold of that position and really hold on to things in Buffalo. They need consistency at quarterback up there, and he may be the guy that can do it for them.
Quadre Henderson, Quadre, of course, tremendous athlete. You got these guys who can leap to get to the football. We, of course, who made that spectacular catch over the defender in the end zone to get the win. But are they going to be able to spread the field? Let's talk about the Nittany Lions defense, enough to be able to match them point for point when you have a guy who obviously is a Heisman Trophy candidate. Some say the front runner. Trace McSorley is good, may not have a big NFL arm, but are they going to be able to trade punches with him?
I think Pitt's going to be able to score against them. I really think they do have the offensive firepower to score against Penn State. But defensively, obviously without Jordan Whitehead, here's one of the best players in the country, and he's not going to play. And it's his fault. But I think when you look at Pitt, they can score, but the big thing is going to be, can they stop Penn State? Vegas has Penn State as a 3-touchdown favorite, and I can see that, but I'm thinking it's going to be more of a 49-28 type game. Penn State's going to get their points, but I think Pitt's going to score their points, but Penn State's going to score more. So
talking to some friends earlier today, big fans of Pitt, and they were saying you take away a couple of the big runs that Barkley had against Akron, which is not one of your better football teams, it really wasn't as good or as bad as it looked. So they believe, stack the box as Akron tried to, but more talent with the Panthers, they're going to have a better opportunity to shut him down.
Yeah, and I think so. And I think, a lot of people were complaining that, that Pitt had to struggle against YSU, but I think Coach Narduzzi and his staff were kind of holding things back. They weren't showing the whole playbook. They want to, this is a big game for Pitt. Maybe Penn State doesn't want to act like it's a big game, but for Pitt, it's a huge game. So they were sandbagging a little bit, and I think they're going to show their full everything they've got in the artillery this week.
All right, Pitt trying for the next step with Quadre Olson. Listen, 91 yards. This guy can play football. He's got some speed. Make no mistake about it, the Panthers always bring a running game.
Oh, yeah. Olson, he as a freshman, he was ACC Freshman of the Year when James Conner got injured. And so, and then obviously when Conner came back, he had to take a step back. But now, that experience he had as a freshman is really going to pay huge dividends for him.
All right, let's talk about Penn State coach James Franklin. Why has he been able to make Happy Valley happy again?
Yeah, I think he's got that
swagger.
That lack of better that salesman mentality. And I know, early on that kind of played against him. I think a lot of people when Penn State wasn't doing so well when he first got there, the people were kind of using that against him. But now that they're winning again, now it's kind of a bonus for him. I mean, I used to joke that if there was a guy I was going to buy a car from, it would be him. Maybe I wouldn't send my kid to play for him, but I would buy a car from him. But now, he's got things turned around there. You got to give him credit.
All right, Sean Watson has taken over from Matt Canada now, the offensive coordinator at LSU. You think he's going to be able to replace Matt Canada, who's had a great reputation and a wonderful resume that eventually got him this job at LSU?
Yeah, we're going to see. He's got the horses to do it. I mean, at least offensively, the cupboard isn't bare at Pitt, so he's going to have every opportunity to see what he can do.
All right, one of the big keys in this football game is that McSorley might not have a big-time arm, but he can make plays under pressure. So the Panthers are going to have to be aware when you think he's out, he's not necessarily out of the play.
Right. Yeah. I think last year, my son Ace and I, we went to the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis. Our son goes to Wisconsin, and same thing. Wisconsin was dominating that game up till halftime, and all of a sudden, McSorley just made some big throws and big time plays, and just the second half he played against Wisconsin. So he's got that ability to. You think he's down, but he'll come back. He'll come off the mat and beat you.
Great breakfast, great lunch, great dinner, the Brighton Hot Dog Shop. We're coming back for one more, as promised, talking Steelers. Browns NFL actually kicking off tonight. Kansas City, a team that a lot of folks are wondering where they will be moving forward with Alex Smith as their quarterback, and how long will he be their quarterback before this young Patrick Mahomes actually gets a shot. So that's going to be in the eye tonight as the NFL is back in action. Of course, the Steelers and Browns we're going to talk about, and we on News Radio 1020 KDKA, Westwood One Radio, right after I get off the air with the Allegheny Health Network program, Medical Frontiers Monday night, we bring you our first of a few Monday night football games on News Radio 1020 KDKA. So everybody thinking football, here in Beaver, it is Jeff Belks, Coach Manick, Aliquippa Beaver coming up Friday night.
Yeah, the biggest game, definitely the biggest game locally, and probably the biggest game in the Whitfield this weekend. I mean, obviously last year Beaver knocked off Aliquippa, and their 62-game regular season winning streak Beaver brought to an end. And
Beaver has not just won; they've knocked out opponents to begin the season. Freedom and New Brighton, big one.
Yes, they have. And then, but Aliquippa hasn't allowed a touchdown yet through their 2 games, so it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's interesting when you look at Beaver. Aliquippa has dominated so many opponents around here, and in the grand scheme of things, they've beaten Beaver more often than not. But Coach Belt seems to have, out of all the coaches in the Whitfield, he's probably, if you go back and look at it, he's probably got the most wins against Coach Smianik, of any coach. He just always seems to find a way, if not to beat Aliquippa, but certainly give them a game and certainly give them fits. He's taken them to overtime a few times. Obviously beat them last year. So Beaver and Aliquippa have developed quite a rivalry, and it's I know both coaches very well, and they both respect each other. The 2 programs respect one another, so it's been a good thing for local high school football.
Geneva College Golden Tornadoes lost by 1 point. It's Bethany this week. Your thoughts, and then we'll get ready to talk some Steelers.
Yeah, Geneva's an interesting program as far as they've gone back to the future, as far as they've gone back to a running game, more of a single or triple option type thing. I was going to say single wing, but they haven't gone back that far. But they're going to a triple option. They're running more than passing, and they're having some success with that. So it's interesting to see, so many teams are going to these spread offenses, and here Geneva's going back with the 3 running backs behind the quarterback and just running the ball. And so it's interesting what they're doing there. But those are the kids that he's getting at Geneva. You're not getting necessarily the studs that can play those, the spread offense. He's getting the big kids, the powerful kids, and that's the perfect offense for kids that that are I think my colleague Bill Ullman said, the 4.0s at Geneva are on the grade point averages and not the 40-yard times, and that's the perfect offense for those kind of kids. So.
All right, don't forget Times Online all weekend for high school coverage. As long as we have a few more minutes, we're going to keep it going, and we have a few more minutes to talk Steelers football next. Stay with us.